Vinícius Junior, Rodrigo's running free, might come from Mbappe, Kylian Mbappé, 2-0.
When I see Mbappe playing, he's not the Mbappe that I know. I can see that he's powerful, but he's not explosive.
Kylian Mbappé is not the problem at Real Madrid. He is the proof that you can sign the best player on the planet, hand him a blank cheque, give him the number 10 shirt, put him in front of 90,000 people at the Bernabéu and still get it completely wrong. Because Real Madrid did not sign Mbappé to solve a problem. They signed him because they could. Because turning down Kylian Mbappé on a free transfer is something no club in the world does. And Florentino Pérez knew that. He knew every rival would go quiet the moment the announcement dropped. Every other club in Europe would spend the next week pretending they were not worried. What he did not know, or did not care about, is that the team he was handing Mbappé had just won the Champions League and the Liga in the same season without him, was already the best team in Europe. And you do not take the best team in Europe and start pulling pieces out to make room for one man. But that is exactly what he did. And 2 years later, Madrid fans are watching Barcelona lift trophies while their club talks about potential. To understand how badly this went wrong, you have to go back to the summer of 2024. You have to remember what Madrid actually were before Mbappé walked through the door. That team was special.
Isn't that what's special?
Yeah, that is what is special about it. Of course it is. And he's a special man, Ancelotti.
6th Champions League final.
Not in the way people say every good team is special, genuinely special. They moved like one organism. Kroos knew where the ball needed to go before anyone else had even thought about it. Modric was the heartbeat, quiet, never wasted a single movement in his life. Vinícius on the left side was a problem nobody in Europe had solved, and Bellingham had arrived from Dortmund and immediately played like he had been there his whole career. That squad had something that cannot be bought, a rhythm built slowly over years of trusting each other. They won the Champions League that season without dropping a single knockout game, not by scraping through on penalties or lucky nights, but by genuinely being the better team every time. And when the final whistle went in London, every single person watching, they lost the most important brain in their midfield. The player who had been the architect of everything good they did for a decade just walked out the door, and nobody replaced him. People forget how much of what Madrid did ran through Kroos. Not the spectacular moments, that was never his game. The spectacular moments were where he held the ball under pressure long enough to buy his teammates the time they needed. The reading of the game that meant Madrid almost never got caught in dangerous areas. When he retired, that entire layer of the team just disappeared. And Madrid's response was to sign a winger and hope the midfield figured itself out. That was the first crack. The second crack was Vinícius.
There's a reason why they're all booing him and getting on him, because of the way he acts, the way he is. The way he has carried himself. He's brought every single bit of it on himself. I know everybody's like, oh, give him a bit of love. Oh. No, away you go, grow up. Be as great a player as you are. You're unprofessional at too many occasions. And the fans whistling at you, you absolutely 100% deserved it. And the only way you get them off your back is by A, producing on the field and behaving properly.
And Madrid fans have been avoiding this one since day one. Vinícius Junior built his entire game on the left wing. The pace, the one-on-ones, the cutting inside, all of it came from the freedom he had in that wide space. Fullbacks were terrified of him before they even touched the ball. But Mbappe's whole career lived in that exact same area too. Every great Mbappe performance you have ever seen came from the left side. So when both of them ended up in the same squad, somebody had to move. Madrid decided that person was Mbappe, pushing him into the centre and hoping Vinícius would find a way to adapt around him. Vinny never did. He just got quieter and quieter until one of the most dangerous players on the planet was barely noticeable in games. The most explosive winger in the world went from being completely unplayable to going missing for months at a time. And you could see it happening. The directness drained out of him. The shots he used to take on instinct suddenly becoming hesitations. His role in the team had quietly been taken from him. And instead of sitting both players down and actually redesigning how the team worked, Madrid just kept lining them up together and waiting for something to fix itself. And the cruel irony is that Mbappe was struggling too. The early months of his Madrid career were genuinely difficult to watch. Not because he was bad, but because he was clearly a player searching for for something he could not find. There was no space for him, and runs were not being read. He was taking shots from angles he never used to take because the positions he wanted were already occupied. Two of the best attackers in the world, in the same team, somehow making each other worse. And the manager who was supposed to solve it was being asked about Mbappe's mental health in press conferences, instead of being given the time and clarity to actually fix the problem. Last season ended with Mbappe holding the golden boot, having broken records and delivered in the Clásicos when Madrid needed someone to step up. And people said, give it time. Year 2 will be different. They just need to find the balance. And for a while this season, it genuinely looked that way. Mbappe and Vinícius were linking up properly for the first time. Madrid were flying at the top of La Liga. There were weeks where they looked genuinely ruthless again, like a team that remembered how good it was supposed to be. Then it fell apart again. Barcelona pulled clear in La Liga. Madrid started dropping points in games they should have been winning in their sleep, and the dressing room, which had been simmering under the surface all season, started cracking open. Reports coming out of Spain about Vinícius and Xabi Alonso not seeing eye to eye, about a squad that had everything it needed to win, but somehow kept finding ways to implode from the inside. And right now, April 2026, they face Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarter-finals, with Barcelona still ahead of them in La Liga. 2 years in with the best player on the planet, and the season is not won, not even close. The comparison that keeps coming back, and Spanish journalists are no longer whispering it, is David Beckham. Beckham arrived at Real Madrid in 2003 as the most famous footballer alive, and Florentino Pérez stood next to him at the Bernabéu, looking like a man who had just won football forever. What actually happened was that the squad Beckham walked into had already won everything, and his arrival quietly broke something inside it. The trophies dried up, and the dominance Pérez had promised his fans never arrived. And years later, Pérez admitted the deal was as much about business as it was about football. The parallel runs deeper than most people realise, because Beckham was not a bad player at Madrid either. He worked hard, contributed, and had moments. But the team around him never quite functioned the way it did before he arrived. The dynamic had shifted, and the club spent years trying to paper over the cracks, instead of admitting the original decision had consequences nobody wanted to deal with. Sound familiar? Nobody at Real Madrid is saying that about Mbappe yet, but the people inside that club are thinking it, because Mbappe held up his end. He scored crucial goals, dragged Madrid through nights when nobody else could, and delivered when the club needed him most. The thing that collapsed was everything around him. The planning, the refusal to acknowledge that bringing in the world's best player also meant redesigning how the whole team worked. Kroos walked out and nobody came in to fill that role. The Vinícius problem was never actually solved, and when results went wrong, the answer was a new manager rather than a new idea. So now Xabi Alonso, one of the most exciting young coaches in Europe, inherited a dressing room that was already fractured before he walked in, being asked to fix something nobody at the top of the club wants to admit is broken. Madrid fans will say the project is still young, that years of Mbappe and Vinícius together will eventually produce something worth celebrating. Maybe. But Barcelona did not sit around waiting for rivals to get their act together. Hansi Flick walked into that job with a 17-year-old on the wing, who had never played a full season, an aging Lewandowski that half of Europe had already written off, and a club so deep in financial trouble they were practically selling the stadium roof to sign players. And he still turned them into the best team in Spain 2 seasons running, without the excuses or the chaos that had become normal at the Bernabéu. While Madrid kept reshuffling the deck and calling it progress, not what he did on the pitch, what fun superstar, and the trophies would just follow. Pérez has built one of the greatest clubs in football history, and nobody takes that away from him. But he broke something that was already working, chasing a headline he did not need. 3 more years left on that contract. Barcelona are getting better, and Madrid are still searching for an answer to a question they created themselves.